This is just a quick how-to video on installing the aftermarket RF roof conversion from Plamoz for the Tamiya Mazda MX-5 ND. Now just a first small test fit with the parts to see how they would line up and just to give me an initial idea of where I need to cut the remaining pieces of the body off. Now I know where I need to cut. I'm just going to mark it with a permanent marker so I know where I need to cut away and which parts I need to leave on. Since I will be using the main panel lines from the trunk to place the roof piece into, I started with making them a lot deeper, almost going all the way through it, so I can in the end just finish it off lightly with a saw blade. For scribing these panel lines, I used my Yellow House Club Panelline scriber, but you could also just use the back of an X-Acto knife. Works pretty much the same way and is a lot easier to obtain and also a lot cheaper for most of you guys, so that would be the better option in general. So now the panel lines are all nice and scribed out and pretty much all the way gone. I could easily just finish it off with a saw blade from Hobby Design, which just mounts into your X-Acto knife holder. Is really thin and ideal for these panel lines and fine cuts. After finishing these cuts, just remove the trunk piece, clean it up a bit, and do another test fit with the roof panel. The trunk and rear bumper line up perfectly, so no more cleaning up needed to be done there. But on the sides near the doors, it has a bit too much material from the body still left, so a bit of extra marker and time to sand that off to make it fit perfectly. Now for the filing down of these edges, I'm using some specific scale modeling sanding sticks. Now if you can't find these, some nail files or some softback nail files will do the job as well, and otherwise you could just use some jeweler's files or some flat files from the hardware store will also work perfectly. They're just a bit too rough for this, but should end up fine if you just sand it smooth afterwards. So with that piece done and removed, I did another test fit to see if it worked. It worked perfectly fine, so moved on to the other side to repeat the same thing and then do another test fit. After that final test fit, the panel lines looked really good, needed no more work, so I could just glue it in. Now in this case, I'm using SAP CA glue. This is a medium thickness CA glue, otherwise known as super glue, which works really well with gluing plastic to resin parts, as regular plastic glue would not work, as it does not melt the resin like it would with the plastic. You could also use some 2-part epoxy, but I just prefer the medium CA glue. So with the main piece installed, before I just finished it off, I did a final test fit on the roof piece, the target top, and that was fine the way it was. So I finished it off by just sanding some of the plastic and the resin to make sure they are all lined up correctly. None is sticking out and they just look smooth as it's supposed to be there. And now to just finish it off, I took out that saw blade I used on the beginning of the video to cut the main trunk piece out, to refine the panel lines a bit more. Just go through it a couple of times to make sure they are all level and the same width and look the same as the rest of the panel lines on the body.